The sky burned red over the planet Volanthos. Fire and smoke rose from 100 different places across the broken landscape. The war between the Galactic Coalition and the Keth Dominion had reached this world 3 days ago. And already it looked like the end of everything. Daniel Porter ran through the chaos with his medical bag bouncing against his back. He was a combat medic from Ohio, 28 years old, with dirt on his face and blood on his hands. The blood was not his own. He had already saved 3 soldiers today, and the sun had not even set yet. An explosion threw him off his feet. He hit the ground hard and rolled behind a pile of broken stone. His ears rang and his vision blurred, but he forced himself to keep moving. That was what humans did. They kept moving when everything told them to stop. His radio crackled with static. He heard voices calling for help, calling for extraction, calling for anyone who could hear them. But the signal was weak and broken. Daniel checked his position and realized with cold fear that he had been pushed far from his unit. He was alone in enemy territory. The Keth were somewhere close. He could hear their war machines in the distance, grinding across the dead earth. He needed to find cover and wait for rescue. That was the smart thing to do. That was what his training told him. But Daniel Porter had never been good at doing the smart thing. He moved through the smoke and ruin, keeping low and quiet. The ground beneath him was scorched black. Nothing lived here anymore. The Keth did not believe in leaving anything behind. They burned what they could not take and killed what they could not use. Daniel reached the edge of a deep ravine and stopped. Below him, half buried in rock and dirt, he saw the wreck of a shuttle. It was not human. The design was elegant and silver, with curves that no human engineer would ever think to create. It was VELN. The Velen were allies to humanity in this war. They were tall and graceful, with skin like pale moonlight and eyes that held the colors of distant stars. They had welcomed humans into the Galactic Coalition when no other species would. They believed that all life had value, even life from a dangerous world like Earth. Daniel climbed down into the ravine. His boots slipped on loose stone, but he caught himself and kept going. The shuttle was badly damaged. One wing had been torn away completely, and smoke still rose from the engine compartment. He moved around to the side and found the door hanging open. Inside, he found death. 2 Velen guards lay on the floor, their bodies broken and still. Their silver blood had pooled beneath them and dried to a dull gray. Daniel checked them both, but there was nothing he could do. They had been dead for hours. Then he heard a sound, weak and soft, like a whisper carried on the wind. He pushed deeper into the shuttle and found her. She lay against the far wall, her hand pressed to her side. Silver blood seeped between her fingers. Her skin was so pale it seemed to glow, and her eyes, when they opened, were the color of a sunset seen through water. She looked at Daniel and tried to speak, but no words came out. Daniel moved to her side and dropped to his knees. He opened his medical bag and began to work. The wound was deep. Something had gone through her armor and cut into her body. She had lost too much blood. Far too much. "Stay with me," he said. "I am going to help you." She shook her head slowly. Her lips moved, and this time he heard her voice. It was like music, even broken by pain. "Leave me," she said. "Save yourself, human. That is not going to happen." He worked fast, using everything he had. He sealed the wound and stopped the bleeding, but he knew it was not enough. She needed blood. Without it, she would die within hours. Maybe less. The Velen woman watched him with those strange and beautiful eyes. "Why do you stay?" she asked. "Your people are not known for foolish sacrifice." Daniel did not look up from his work. "My people are known for not giving up." She made a sound that might have been a laugh if she had the strength for it. "I'm Lara," she said. third daughter of Emperor Corinth. If you leave now, you might still live. If you stay, we will both die here." Daniel stopped. He looked at her face and saw the truth there. She was royalty, a princess of the Velen Empire, and she was dying in a crash shuttle on a burning world with only a human medic to keep her company. "I am Daniel," he said. "I do not care if you are a princess or a beggar. I do not leave people behind." He pulled out his emergency radio and tried to reach his commander. The signal was weak, but after a few tries, he heard a familiar voice. "Daniel? This is Captain Lawson. Where are you?" "I am in a ravine about 6 clicks east of our last position," he said. "I have a wounded Velen. She needs immediate extraction." There was a pause. Then Amy Lawson spoke again, and her voice was heavy with regret. "We cannot reach you for at least 12 hours. The Keth have the whole area locked down. You need to hold on until then." Daniel looked at Saylara. Her eyes were closing. Her breathing was shallow and slow. She did not have 12 hours. She did not even have 2. "Understood," he said. "I will figure something out." He ended the call and sat in the silence of the broken shuttle. Outside, he could hear the distant sound of Keth patrols. The enemy was searching for survivors. It was only a matter of time before they found this place. Daniel looked at the blood on his hands. Human blood and Velen blood mixed together. An idea came to him then. A crazy idea. An impossible idea. But impossible was just another word for not yet tried. He reached into his bag and pulled out his field testing kit. If human blood could work for a Velen, then maybe, just maybe, he could save her Dot, and if it could not, then at least he would have tried. The night came fast on Volantos. The red sky turned to black, and the only light came from the fires that still burned across the battlefield. Inside the crashed shuttle, Daniel worked by the glow of a small emergency lamp. He ran the test 3 times to be sure. Each time, the result was the same. Human blood and Velen blood were not perfectly matched, but they were close. Close enough to try. The numbers showed a 67% chance that the transfusion would work. That meant a 33% chance that it would kill her. Daniel sat back and looked at Saylara. She had fallen into a deep sleep, but it was not a healing sleep. It was the kind of sleep that came before death. Her breathing was so light he could barely see her chest rise and fall. Her skin had turned from pale to gray. He did not have time to think. He did not have time to doubt. He only had time to act. But before he could begin, Saylara opened her eyes. She looked at him with a clarity that surprised him. It was as if she had gathered all her remaining strength for one final moment of awareness. "I know what you are planning," she said. "I can see it in your face." Daniel did not try to hide it. "Your body needs blood. I have blood. The math is simple. The math is not simple at all." She tried to sit up but fell back with a soft cry of pain. "No human has ever given blood to a Velen. We do not know what will happen. You could kill me faster than the wound, or I could save you, or you could die yourself. The transfusion will weaken you. If the Keth find us while you are recovering, you will not be able to fight. You will not be able to run. You will die here with me." Daniel looked at her for a long moment. Then he smiled. It was not a happy smile, but it was real. "I lost my sister when I was 18, he said. "Her name was Katie. She was in a car accident, and she needed blood. The hospital was small, and they did not have enough. By the time more arrived, it was too late." Saylara said nothing. She only watched him with those sunset eyes. "I became a medic because of her," Daniel continued. "I promised myself that I would never let anyone die waiting for help. Not if I could do something about it. This is different. I am not your sister. I am not even your species. You are a person who needs help. That is all that matters to me. Saylara closed her eyes. When she opened them again, there were tears on her face. Valen tears were silver, like their blood. They caught the light and shone like tiny stars. You humans are strange, she whispered. You come from a world that tries to kill you every day. Your bodies are fragile. Your lives are short. And yet, you throw those lives away for strangers without a second thought. We do not throw them away, Daniel said. We invest them. In people. In hope. In the belief that tomorrow can be better than today. He prepared the transfusion equipment. It was basic field gear, meant for human-to-human transfers. He had to modify it with pieces from the shuttle's medical kit. His hands were steady even though his heart was racing. Outside, searchlights swept across the ravine. The Keth were getting closer. Daniel could hear their voices now, harsh and grating in a language he did not understand. They were hunting for survivors, and they would not stop until they found them. We do not have much time, he said. I need to start now. Saylara reached out and took his hand. Her grip was weak, but there was warmth in it. If this kills me, she said, I want you to know that I am grateful. Not for the blood, for the kindness. My people believe that kindness is the truest form of strength. You have shown me that humans believe this too. Daniel nodded. He did not trust himself to speak. He inserted the needle into his own arm first. Then, with careful hands, he connected the line to Saylara. He opened the valve, and his blood began to flow. It was a strange feeling. He could feel his life leaving him, drop by drop, and entering her. He watched the red liquid travel through the clear tube and disappear into her silver veins. The colors did not mix at first. They stayed separate, like oil and water. Then something changed. Saylara gasped. Her body went rigid, and for one terrible moment, Daniel thought he had made a mistake. He thought the 33% had won, and he had killed her with his own blood. But then, she relaxed. Her breathing grew stronger. The color began to return to her face, and something else happened. Something Daniel did not expect. Where his blood entered her body, her skin began to glow. Soft patterns of light spread out from the transfusion site, tracing lines across her arm and up to her shoulder. They looked like circuits or like the branches of a tree seen from above. They pulsed with a gentle rhythm that matched the beating of Daniel's heart. What is happening? He asked. Saylara did not answer. Her eyes had closed again, but this time her sleep was different. It was deeper, more peaceful. It was the sleep of healing, not death. Daniel sat beside her and watched the patterns grow. He felt tired. So very tired. He had given a lot of blood already, and he knew he should stop soon. But Saylara still needed more. Her body was accepting the transfusion, but she had lost so much. He stayed connected. He kept the valve open. He watched his blood flow into her and felt his strength fade with each passing minute. The searchlights passed over the shuttle again. The Keth were right above them now. One wrong move, one small sound, and they would be discovered. Daniel closed his eyes and focused on breathing. He could not fight. He could not run. All he could do was sit here and hope that his blood would be enough. Somewhere in the distance, he heard the sound of engines. Rescue was coming, but it was still hours away. He did not know if he could hold on that long, but he would try. That was what humans did. They tried, even when trying seemed hopeless. And sometimes, just sometimes, trying was enough. 6 hours passed in the darkness of the crashed shuttle. Daniel had given nearly 2 pints of blood, and his body was starting to fail. His hands shook. His vision blurred at the edges. Every breath felt like a battle. But Saylara was alive. Her skin had changed. The pale moonlight color had taken on a faint pink warmth, like the first light of dawn. The glowing patterns on her arms had spread across her chest and up her neck. They pulsed slowly, matching a heartbeat that Daniel realized was not hers alone. It was his heartbeat too. He could feel it somehow. When his heart beat, the patterns on her skin pulsed. When he breathed, her chest rose and fell in the same rhythm. They had become connected in a way that went beyond the simple tube that linked their arms. Daniel finally closed the valve and removed the needle. He had given everything he could give without killing himself. Now all he could do was wait and watch. Saylara lay still, but her stillness was different from before. This was not the stillness of death. This was the stillness of change. Her body was doing something that no Vellum body had ever done before. It was adapting. A sound outside the shuttle made Daniel freeze. Footsteps, heavy and slow, coming down into the ravine. He reached for his combat knife with a hand that trembled from weakness. He could barely lift it, but he held it ready. The footsteps stopped outside the shuttle door. Daniel held his breath. His heart pounded so loud he was sure the enemy could hear it. Seconds passed like hours. Then a face appeared in the doorway. It was a Keth scout. The creature was tall and thin, with gray skin stretched tight over sharp bones. Its eyes were black and empty, like holes cut into the fabric of space. It carried a weapon that hummed with deadly energy. The scout saw Daniel and raised its weapon. Daniel moved. He did not think about how weak he was. He did not think about how much blood he had lost. He only thought about Saylara lying helpless behind him, and about the promise he had made to himself all those years ago. He threw himself at the scout. The knife in his hand found its target, sliding between the plates of armor and into the soft flesh beneath. The scout screamed, a high and terrible sound, and its weapon fired wild into the ceiling. They fell together, rolling across the floor of the shuttle. Daniel felt claws tear into his shoulder, but he did not let go. He twisted the knife and pushed deeper. The scout's screams became gurgles, then silence. Daniel lay on the floor, breathing hard. Blood ran down his arm from the wound in his shoulder. He had won, but he had nothing left. His body would not move anymore. His eyes would not stay open. He managed to turn his head and look at Saylara. She was still sleeping, still glowing, still changing. The patterns on her skin had grown brighter during the fight, as if they had felt his fear and his pain. "I hope you wake up soon," Daniel whispered. "I do not think I can protect you much longer." His eyes closed and darkness took him far away. On the Velen flagship that orbited Velanthos, an alarm began to sound. The crew rushed to their stations as a message appeared on the main screen. "The princess," someone said. "Her life signs have been restored." Emperor Corinth rose from his command chair. He was old and tired, with silver hair and eyes that had seen too much death. He had sent soldiers to find his daughter, but he had expected them to find only her body. "Where is she?" he asked. "The signal is coming from the Eastern Combat Zone. She appears to be inside a crashed shuttle. Send rescue immediately. I want my daughter brought to me within the hour." The crew worked fast, but another message came through before the rescue ships could launch. This one was from the human forces on the ground. "This is Captain Amy Lawson of the Earth Coalition," the voice said. "We have located the princess. One of our medics is with her. He has been keeping her alive, but he is badly wounded. We are moving to extract them both, but we need air support." Emperor Corinth looked at the screen. A human medic. A single human soldier had found his daughter and kept her alive through the night. "Give them everything they need," he said. "I want that human brought to me alive. I want to thank him personally." Back on the surface, Saylara opened her eyes. The first thing she felt was warmth. Not the cold emptiness of death that she had expected, but a deep and steady warmth that spread through her whole body. She looked at her hands and saw the patterns glowing on her skin. They were beautiful, like rivers of light flowing through her veins. And she felt something else. A presence in her mind that was not her own. thoughts and feelings that belonged to someone else. She turned her head and saw Daniel lying on the floor. His face was pale. Blood soaked his uniform. A dead Keth lay beside him. He had fought for her. He had nearly died for her. And now he was fading. Selara tried to stand, but her legs were weak. She crawled across the floor and reached his side. She touched his face, and when she did, she felt everything. She felt his fear and his courage. She felt his love for his lost sister and his determination to save others in her memory. She felt his kindness, pure and simple, asking nothing in return, and she felt his pain. "No," she said. Her voice was stronger now. "You saved me. I will not let you die." She did not know how she knew what to do. The knowledge simply came to her as natural as breathing. She placed her hands on his wound and focused. The patterns on her skin grew brighter, and the light flowed from her into him. It was not blood she gave him. It was something else. Something that the mixing of their blood had created. Something new. Daniel gasped. His eyes flew open. He looked up at Selara and saw her glowing like a star. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Returning the favor," she said with a small smile. "Now rest. Help is coming." In the distance, they heard the roar of engines. Human engines and Velen engines, flying together. Rescue had arrived. The rescue ships circled the ravine like great metal birds. Their lights cut through the darkness and found the crashed shuttle. Soldiers began to drop down on cables, both human and Velen, working together to reach their people. Inside the shuttle, Selara stood guard over Daniel. He had fallen back into unconsciousness after she healed his wound, but his breathing was steady and strong. She could feel his life through the bond they now shared. It was like having a second heartbeat inside her chest. The bond was strange and wonderful and terrifying all at once. When she looked at Daniel, she did not just see a human soldier. She saw his memories flickering like flames. She saw a young boy crying at a hospital. She saw a man making a promise to the sky. She saw years of training and fighting and saving lives, all because of his sister who died too soon. She understood now why he had saved her. It was not about politics or alliances or rewards. It was about the simple fact that she needed help, and he had help to give. Humans were not complicated creatures. They loved hard and fought harder. They would throw themselves into fire to save a stranger. And when they made a promise, they kept it until their last breath. Selara heard footsteps at the shuttle door. She turned ready to fight, but it was only Captain Amy Lawson and her team. Amy was a strong woman with short brown hair and eyes that had seen many battles. She stopped when she saw Selara standing there, glowing with soft light. "Princess," Amy said, "are you all right?" "I am alive because of him." Selara pointed to Daniel. "He gave me his blood. He fought off a Keth scout. He never stopped protecting me, even when he had nothing left." Amy knelt beside Daniel and checked his pulse. "That sounds like Daniel," she said softly. "He has never been good at giving up." The soldiers loaded Daniel onto a stretcher and began to carry him out of the shuttle. Selara followed close behind. She would not leave his side now. Not after everything they had shared. As they climbed out of the ravine, the sky began to brighten. Dawn was coming to Volantos. The fires still burned across the battlefield, but there was hope in the light. The Keth had been pushed back during the night. The war was not over, but the tide was turning. A Velen shuttle landed nearby, and Selara saw the royal symbol on its side. Her father had sent his personal ship for her. She felt a mix of relief and fear. How would she explain what had happened? How would she explain the bond? The shuttle door opened, and a tall Velen officer stepped out. He bowed low when he saw Selara. "Princess, your father is waiting for you on the flagship. We must leave immediately." Selara shook her head. "The human comes with me. The officer looked uncertain. Princess, the Emperor only asked for you. The human saved my life. He is under my protection now. Where I go, he goes. There was something in her voice that made the officer step back. It was not just royal command. It was something deeper, something ancient. The voice of a changed being, speaking with power that had not existed before. As you wish, Princess. They loaded Daniel onto the Velen shuttle and flew up through the burning sky. Salara sat beside him and held his hand. Through their bond, she could feel his dreams. He was dreaming of his sister, of a field of flowers, of a time when the world was simple and safe. She wondered what he would dream about after today. She wondered if she would appear in his dreams the way he now appeared in hers. The flagship was massive, a city floating among the stars. Salara had grown up on ships like this, but today it felt different. Everything felt different. The colors were brighter. The sounds were clearer. Her body moved faster and stronger than before. Daniel's blood had not just saved her. It had changed her dot. She did not know yet what that meant. She did not know if the change was permanent or what other effects it might have. But she knew one thing for certain. She was no longer the same princess who had left for the battlefield. Emperor Corinth met her in the medical bay. He was surrounded by guards and advisors, but he pushed through them all and pulled her into his arms. He held her tight, and for a moment, he was not an emperor. He was just a father who had almost lost his daughter. I thought you were dead, he said. When we lost your signal, I thought I would never see you again. I would have died, Salara said. But the human saved me. She pulled back and gestured to Daniel, who lay on a bed behind her. The medical team was already working on him, using Velen technology to heal the damage he had done to himself. He gave me his blood, Father. He gave me his strength. He fought for me when he could barely stand. The Emperor looked at Daniel with new eyes. He had met humans before, of course. The Coalition had brought many human soldiers and diplomats to his court, but he had always seen them as allies of convenience, useful but temporary. Now, looking at the man who had saved his daughter, he saw something else. He saw courage that did not count the cost. He saw honor that needed no reward. He saw the kind of spirit that empires were built on. What is his name? The Emperor asked. Daniel Porter. The Emperor nodded slowly. When he wakes, bring him to me. I wish to speak with him. There is more, Father. Salara held up her hands and showed him the glowing patterns. The transfusion did something to me. Changed me. I can feel his thoughts. I can sense his emotions. We are connected now in ways I do not fully understand. The Emperor's face went pale. He reached out and touched the patterns on her skin. They pulsed beneath his fingers. What have you become? He whispered. I do not know, Salara said. But I know it is something new. Something the galaxy has never seen before. In the bed behind them, Daniel opened his eyes. Daniel woke to the sound of soft voices and the hum of machines he did not recognize. He was lying in a bed that felt like a cloud, surrounded by walls that curved like the inside of a shell. Everything was silver and white and gentle. For a moment, he thought he had died. Then he saw Salara standing beside him, and he remembered everything. You are on my father's ship, she said. You have been asleep for 2 days. The doctors say you gave too much blood. Your body almost shut down. Daniel tried to sit up, but his muscles felt weak. Did it work? Are you okay? Salara smiled. It was a beautiful smile, warm and full of light. I am more than okay, Daniel. You saved my life. And you gave me something else. Something I never expected. She showed him her hands. The glowing patterns were still there, soft and steady. I can feel you, she said. Even now, I can feel your heart beating. I can sense your confusion and your wonder. We are connected. You and I, the bond between us, is something that has never existed before in our galaxy." Daniel stared at her. He did not know what to say. He had given her blood to save her life, nothing more. He had not expected this. "I do not understand," he said. "Neither do we." A new voice spoke from across the room. Daniel turned and saw a tall Velen male approaching. The male wore robes of deep purple, and a crown of silver sat upon his head. This was Emperor Corinth, ruler of the Velen Empire. Daniel tried to bow, but the Emperor stopped him with a raised hand. "Do not strain yourself, human. You have earned the right to rest." "Your Majesty," Daniel managed. "I was just doing my duty." "Your duty?" The Emperor laughed, but it was a kind laugh. "Your duty was to survive. Your duty was to return to your unit and fight another day. Instead, you risked everything to save a stranger. That is not duty. That is something greater." The Emperor sat in a chair beside the bed. Up close, he looked older and more tired than Daniel had expected. The war had taken much from him. "My doctors have studied the bond between you and my daughter," the Emperor said. "They tell me it is permanent. Your blood has merged with hers at a level beyond simple biology. You have given her pieces of yourself that can never be taken back." "I did not mean to change her," Daniel said. "I only wanted to save her. And in saving her, you have created something new." The Emperor leaned forward. "Human blood carries something the galaxy has never seen before. Your species evolved on a world that tried to kill you every moment. Your bodies adapted. They became strong in ways we cannot fully comprehend. And now those adaptations have merged with Velen genetics." "What does that mean?" Daniel asked. "It means my daughter is now the first of a new kind. She has Velen grace and human strength. She has our long life and your fierce will to survive. She is a bridge between our peoples." Salar moved closer and took Daniel's hand. Through the bond, he felt her emotions: gratitude, affection, hope. "There is more," she said. "The Galactic Council has called a special session. They want to discuss what happened. Some races are afraid of what this means. They think humans are dangerous." "Dangerous?" Daniel shook his head. "I am a medic. I save lives." "Exactly," the Emperor said. "And that is what you will tell them." 3 days later, Daniel stood before the Galactic Council. He wore his dress uniform, cleaned and pressed, with the medals he had earned over years of service. Beside him stood Salara, glowing softly in the light of 1,000 stars. The council chamber was vast and round, filled with representatives from 100 different species. Some were tall, some were small. Some had scales, some had feathers, some had forms that Daniel could not even describe. They all watched him with eyes that held curiosity and fear. The Keth ambassador spoke first. His voice was cold and sharp. "This human has contaminated royal Velen blood. He has created something unnatural. We demand that the bond be broken and the human be removed from Velen space." Murmurs ran through the chamber. Daniel felt his heart sink. He had not asked for any of this. He had only tried to save a life. But before he could speak, Salar stepped forward. "I will tell you what this human did," she said. Her voice rang through the chamber like a bell. "He found me dying in a crashed shuttle. He was alone, surrounded by enemies with no hope of rescue. He could have left me and saved himself. No one would have blamed him." She paused and looked at the assembled council. "Instead, he gave me his blood. He gave me his strength. He fought off an enemy soldier with a knife while barely able to stand. And when help finally came, he was lying on the floor, nearly dead, because he had given me everything he had." The chamber was silent. "If this is contamination," Salara continued, "then the galaxy needs more of it. Humans are not dangerous because they destroy. They are powerful because they protect. They do not ask what you can give them. They ask what they can give you. She turned to Daniel and smiled. I have seen inside this human's heart. I know his memories, his dreams, his fears. And I can tell you that there is no darkness there. Only light. Only courage. Only love. The council voted that night. By a margin of 3-1, they granted humanity full membership in the Galactic Alliance. The Keth objected, but their voices were lost in the celebration. 1 week later, Daniel prepared to return to Earth. His wounds had healed, and his unit was waiting for him. The war was not over yet, and there were more lives to save. Salar met him at the shuttle bay. They stood together in silence for a long moment, feeling each other's emotions through the bond. I will miss you, she said. You will never be far from me, Daniel replied. The bond works both ways, remember? She laughed and touched her chest. I can feel your heartbeat right now. It is strange and wonderful. Take care of yourself, princess. Take care of the galaxy, human. Daniel boarded the shuttle and flew toward the stars. Behind him, Salara watched until the ship disappeared from view. She could still feel him, a warm presence at the edge of her mind. Captain Amy Lawson met Daniel when he landed. She shook his hand and smiled. You did good, Porter. Real good. Daniel looked up at the sky, where distant stars held empires he could barely imagine. I just did what any human would do, he said. Amy laughed. That is exactly the point. And across the galaxy, on a silver ship among the stars, a princess felt a human smile and smiled with him.